Supersize Me, How Documentaries Lie.
Supersize the American way. Getting fat, getting broke, either way you're gonna pay.
What happens when a man eats nothing but McDonald's for 30 days? In 2004, Morgan Spurlock set out to find out, and filmed his body breaking down in real time.
I'm getting this
Wasn't this guy also an alcoholic? I feel like at the time he was drinking a lot too, like binge drinking.
really weird feeling right in my midsection, like basically in my penis right now. It's just like this. It's really freaky.
The message? Fast food is toxic, obesity is rising, and the fast food industry is to blame. It terrified parents, changed school menus, and made millions fear McDonald's, but not everyone bought it. In the years that followed, a wave of response documentaries emerged. Some lost weight eating McDonald's, others proved his math didn't add up.
Supersize Me was an amusing documentary, but it was full of baloney.
And behind the scenes, the filmmaker was hiding a secret, one that would make the original experiment even more questionable. This is the overlooked story of Supersize Me, and how one viral stunt shaped the way we eat, think, and fear food.
Yeah, I realized that probably he did do things to sensationalize it. It was one of the most successful documentaries of all time. He went in with an agenda that he wanted to prove that fast food was bad, but it's also not like fast food is good. And the fact that he exaggerated things means fast food is better for you. Fast food is absolutely awful for you. One like meal from McDonald's, what is like a Big Mac is pretty popular, is most of your day's calories. Big Mac meal calories, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1,300 calories. That's probably at least half, if not more, of the calories that most people need in one not particularly filling meal. That's not all you're going to eat that day. I just don't want the pendulum to swing too far the other way where it's like, oh, because he lied in this documentary, fast food is not that bad. It's full of fats and grease and it has no nutritional value and is essentially just calories.
New research finds childhood obesity rates are getting worse.
The country is facing a dangerous weight problem.
People were looking for the root cause, and the finger was pointed to the rapidly expanding fast food industry.
Marketing toward children right now is having such a huge impact. It's conditioning children to want soda, to want fries.
With McDonald's aggressively marketing to children, they became the perfect target. One father even tried to sue them, claiming he thought the food was healthy and that it was McDonald's fault that his daughters became obese. Lawyers argued that if they could prove McDonald's intended people to eat their food for every meal, and that it was harmful, they might have a case. Watching it all unfold was Morgan Spurlock, a broke, unknown filmmaker, and he saw an opportunity.
And I turned to my vegan girlfriend on the couch, and I told her, I said, I got a great idea for a movie. The big demon in America was obesity, was the obesity epidemic.
Spurlock set out to take the fast food giants head on. The goal? To demonstrate the harmful effects fast food can have on the body. For 30 days, he ate only from McDonald's, 3 meals a day, trying each item at least once. If they're
3 meals a day from a fast food restaurant sounds like absolute torture. It would be good for like the first 2 meals, and then after that, you would feel so disgusting from the amount of grease you're consuming. And the portion sizes at fast food restaurants aren't even that big, which means that at 3 meals a day, one, you'd be hungry all the time, and you'd also still be overeating. That just sounds miserable to be perpetually hungry and then also perpetually overeating at the same time.
offered to supersize, he had to say yes.
So if the cashier said, you want that supersize?
I'd say yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even the water he would drink had to be from McDonald's.
Because I didn't want to have anything that could taint the experiment, you know. So.
He stopped exercising and aimed to keep his steps below 5,000 a day to mimic the average American, investing $65,000 of his own money, hoping the film would be shocking enough to turn a profit.
Okay, but also, if your thing is like, well, let's see if fast food's bad, and while I'm seeing if fast food is bad, I'm also going to stop working out and also stop going for walks. Yeah, of course you're going to have bad health outcomes. If he had just been eating normally and stopped going to the gym and stopped going on walks, then he would also have negative health outcomes.
8-year-old dream right now that I'm getting ready to fulfill.
Spurlock was extensive with his medical checks.
We're going to do a rectal exam.
He was assessed by 4 different professionals who would monitor the experiment: a GP, a cardiologist, a gastroenterologist, and a nutritionist.
Any alcohol use?
Now, none.
Everything seemed to be in check.
Your kidney function, your liver function, they were all perfect.
And just like that, the experiment began. Day 1, he's full of enthusiasm, but things take a sharp turn after his first supersized meal. Quite a dramatic start.
My body early on was saying, don't do it, man.
After just 5
I mean, that's definitely fake, right? Nobody eats like 70% of a McDonald's burger and then throws it up because of how bad it is. It's so obviously exaggerated.
days, he's already gained nearly 10 pounds. His nutrition
10 pounds? But you also have to realize that the amount of sodium, he's going to be retaining more water. The more salt you eat, the more water that your body retains. So it's probably not all fat, but 10 pounds in 5 days is crazy.
nutritionist warned he was eating double what anyone would consider normal. But Spurlock pushes on through the penile issues, lethargy, and headaches, opting for massive portion sizes.
Look at that.
I think the biggest issue is not so much the amount of calories he's eating, but don't get me wrong, he's eating a lot of calories, but also just the lack of nutrition. Like, he probably doesn't eat a single fruit or vegetable aside from what's on the burger. Of course, he feels terrible, sleeps terribly, can't perform in, other ways. Well, yeah, he hasn't had a single nutrient in 30 days.
Look at that Coke.
With obesity tied to serious health risks, he set out to prove the damage firsthand. The spotlight turned to how little that the public really understood about basic nutrition.
What's a calorie? Oh, Jesus.
That's a good question.
Highlighting how kids are more likely to recognize Ronald McDonald than Jesus. By day 14,
What? I feel like those two things aren't particularly equivalent. That's also not a real picture of Jesus.
he developed signs of addiction to the food, and his nutritionist expresses concern over saturated fat and sodium levels.
I think the saturated fats are starting to impede the blood flow to his penis.
What?
His diet
Look, I understand this is a documentary about health and he's got to do things to keep the audience interesting, but we have Ye so far mentioned penises 3 times in 4 minutes, and I just feel like that's a bit of a high ratio.
is deficient in most micronutrients, and his health was suffering more than most doctors could comprehend.
If somebody were doing this to the liver with alcohol, they could theoretically wipe out the liver. I've never heard of anybody doing this to the liver with a high-fat diet.
By the 3rd week, things take a bleak turn.
Just trying to get my breath back. And I want to finish, but don't want anything real bad to happen either.
That idiot wasn't me, but don't worry, he didn't die. He was just being dramatic. Although his blood tests were showing significant signs of liver damage.
The results for your liver are obscene beyond anything I would have thought.
I mean,
I feel like this is probably exposing my ignorance, but does fast food and high-fat diets negatively impact your liver? Researchers found that the high levels of saturated fat found in some rich foods immediately alter the work of the liver, possibly setting the body up for serious disease down the line. So even one really high-fat meal can negatively impact your liver for potentially the rest of your life. Interesting. But I also believe that he was an alcoholic at this time as well, wasn't he?
Day 21, I mean, it was very scary. I had 3 different doctors. My liver at this point had so filled with fat that one doctor compared it to pate.
Spurlock was starting to feel the mental consequences too.
I got massively depressed.
By the final week, his doctor...
I feel like half of that depression is the fact that you can't do anything else. Your friends go out to eat, sorry, have to have McDonald's. It's your birthday, can't have cake, gotta have McDonald's. The depression's gotta be because you don't get to have any kind of a life for the next 30 days to enjoy anything except McDonald's.
were begging him to stop. With his health spiraling, even his girlfriend stepped in, designing a recovery plan to try and undo the damage.
I've got Morgan's detox diet all ready to go, making sure that I'm getting as many cleansing vegetables into his diet as possible.
Because Spurlock's final results after his fast food binge were shocking. He had gained 24.5 pounds. His LDL cholesterol had shot up. He felt emotionally numb, lethargic, but most concerning was the state of his liver.
We see people who go on an alcohol binge and their numbers go up like crazy. But to go on, a Mac attack, they've got numbers to show that you're gonna tax your liver too. I wouldn't have even thought about this. But
It took him over a year to lose the weight he had gained. A pretty compelling documentary, right? The media seemed to think so. Spurlock won Best Director at the Sundance Film Festival and Best Documentary Screenplay at the Writers Guild of America. People rushed to view the documentary in theaters, earning over $11 million at box office, and eventually $22 million worldwide. The piece would go on to be shown in schools across the world to help educate on the dangers of fast food. I, for one, have seen Spurlock getting probed way too many times, but overall, everyone seemed to love it, except those at McDonald's.
McDonald's didn't really want to talk to me.
Yeah.
it was a complete disservice to anyone looking for factual information.
McDonald's director of nutrition. So she doesn't do anything. She doesn't have a job. Is her job to make sure that there is no nutrition? That's like a strip club having a director of client relations. Do we really need you here? You don't really contribute.
Or real solutions.
The company called the documentary a supersized distortion of the quality of choice and variety available at McDonald's. The film is about Spurlock's decision to act irresponsibly by eating 5,000 calories a day, However,
that is like a semi-fair response. Obviously, McDonald's is going to glaze themselves. You know, the supersized distortion of quality, choice, and variety available at McDonald's. Probably he did eat unhealthy stuff every time. And yeah, absolutely, the decision to eat 5,000 calories a day while not exercising is absolutely terrible. But none of this means that McDonald's is like a good and healthy choice that you should have regularly.
To act irresponsibly by eating 5,000 calories a day. However, the response in America was mostly quiet.
But in the UK and Australia, they really went into the because McDonald's should have had things else previously, which that part because they're very much too.
Yeah, look up the Streisand effect sometime. By trying to hide it, they made it the most visible thing. If a big company is telling you not to do something or not to watch something, in what world are you not going to immediately go out and seek that thing?
Months after the documentary's release, McDonald's quietly phased out the Supersize option. They insisted it was just menu simplification, not a response to the film. But the timing raised eyebrows. They also started making their meals look more nutritious.
After years of criticism, McDonald's said today it will begin serving a healthier Happy Meal.
Happy Meals could now come with a salad, bottled water, and a pedometer. Instead of fries and a soda, they began
a pedometer? Make sure you're getting your steps in, kids.
Printing calorie and nutrition info directly onto the packaging. And Ronald McDonald would encourage more physical activity.
It had nothing to do with the fact that they made an announcement about their stock after the film opened, that it dropped 75%.
But it wasn't just McDonald's, the
75%? Is that true? It looks like it dropped like 10%. Okay, yeah, it did not drop 75%. Not even close. It like at max dropped 10%.
Documentary seemed to annoy. Some saw Spurlock's experiment as sensational and advocated for more personal responsibility. Long before Spurlock revealed a secret that would damage his legacy and make many question whether the film belonged in schools, a wave of questionable response documentaries had already started pushing back.
Yes, I'm the person who ate at McDonald's for 30 days and lost weight.
Me and Mickey D documented So-So Whaley eating McDonald's for 30 days. Like Spurlock, but she ate within a calorie range to fit her needs, chose smaller portions and walked regularly. She lost 10 pounds and improved her cholesterol.
I almost feel like this is measuring a different thing, though. The point of his documentary was if you eat fast food for every meal while not really paying attention and not really doing anything interesting or active, you know, to keep yourself in shape, then you will have major negative outcomes. But hers is like, well, if you're really conscientious with it, then it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But I feel like they're measuring entirely separate issues. One is one of like how easy it is to passively harm yourself with fast food, and the other one is if you're making conscious decisions, then you can be okay. But that's kind of how all of life works. If you're just passively going through stuff that can potentially harm you, you're going to come out harmed. And if you're actively going through life making sure that you avoid things that harm you and limit things that might cause you damage, then you'll be fine. Like, these are not the same documentary.
Advocating for personal responsibility and better diet choices over demonizing fast food.
5,000 calories per day of pretty much anything is going to make you fat and screw up your health. Isn't it also possible to live on fast food and actually lose weight?
5 years later, Tom Norton released Fathead, a more direct response to Supersize Me, where he demonstrated he could eat under 2,000 calories of McDonald's a day and still lose weight.
Yeah, but it's like, one, virtually impossible to do that because you get like 1.5 meals, and two, you're miserable because you're hungry all of the time. You can lose or gain weight intentionally if you are just paying attention to what you're putting in your body. I think the point of Supersize Me is kind of, without realizing it, you can blow up your health because of how horrible these foods are for you.
He called out Spurlock for his calorie and fat counts not adding up, and in response to Spurlock's refusal to publish his food logs, he listed every item in the experiment they consumed over the 30 days, suggesting that fast food was not the issue, but Spurlock's lack of moderation. To really drive the sentiment home, a high school science teacher decided to attempt something more extreme.
We are going to test the hypothesis. Is it possible for a person to eat nothing but breakfast, lunch, and dinner at McDonald's for 90 straight days to become healthy?
He ended up losing 60 pounds.
I like to tell people that it's not the venue, but it's the menu.
McDonald's liked the message, so they publicly signed him as a media ambassador. This would see him travel.
It's awfully convenient that he comes out with a piece on McDonald's that's really nice, and then McDonald's is like, oh, well, we're going to pay you a bunch of money. I'm not saying for sure that he had any monetary incentive going into the experiment, but isn't it awfully convenient that when he came out with a nice piece about McDonald's, McDonald's then gave him a bunch of money for it? I'm not necessarily defending Supersize Me, because again, I think he has a lot of issues in the documentary, but these kind of follow-up counter documentaries of like, oh, look how wrong he actually is, I think are also incorrect.
To schools to spread the message.
There's nothing wrong with McDonald's.
He even wrote a book, My McDonald's Diet.
I can eat any food at McDonald's that I want, as long as I'm smart with the rest of the day of what I balance it out with. It's choice. It's our choices that make us fat, not McDonald's.
A more scientific...
But McDonald's helps. Especially if you're not someone that's particularly aware of how to count calories or how many calories you need or like what nutrition looks like.
Study was carried out in Sweden to test Spurlock's conclusions. Dr. Friedrich Nystrom had medical students eat around 6,000 calories a day from fast food for 4 weeks while limiting exercise. Participants gained weight and showed mild liver stress, but their mood and cholesterol stayed stable. The researchers concluded that while fast food overeating has consequences, the dramatic effects in Supersize Me may have been exaggerated or influenced by other factors that Spurlock was perhaps hiding. It's almost a trend at this point for people to demonstrate they can lose weight while eating McDonald's, but it almost misses the point.
Because I was eating so small, I was always hungry by the time the next mealtime rolled around.
The issue with fast food is it's often not very nutritious, while being perfectly engineered to be as tasty and easy to overconsume as possible. Losing weight on McDonald's is a lot more difficult than with Whole Foods, because it's a lot less filling, but these people were able to persevere in the short term, perhaps for the sheer spectacle. If you were to order like a normal person, 3 meals a day, you might end up with a McGriddle meal for breakfast, a Big Mac meal for lunch, and a quarter pounder meal for dinner. This is over 3,000 calories, and it's a lot less filling than the Whole Foods equivalent.
And yeah, and it's basically no food. You don't get a snack. I mean, this is it. You could probably eat this in 2 meals and then have room left over for a third one later in the day. That's, I think, the point, is the density of calories and the lack of nutrition. Not so much you can do something.
A Big Mac isn't going to instantly kill you, but it's also not ideal for weight loss or health. A middle ground that every documentary skimmed over, but I wish I understood as a kid, because even with good intentions, Supersize Me and its follow-ups had some unintended consequences. The film didn't just demonize McDonald's, it helped fuel a wave of fear-based health misinformation, where foods were labeled as either good or bad, with no room for nuance, setting a precedent for emotive fear-mongering over scientific balance.
And also for influencers to roll out their healthy alternatives to stuff that really is maybe ever so slightly healthier and then 5 to 6 times the price. It's like the whole protein added to everything craze.
Today, we see a lot of fitness documentaries and influencers taking this route.
This drink right here, Gatorade.
See, it's bullshit.
Is extremely toxic and poisonous for your child's brain.
Breakfast is one of the biggest scams
I'm not opposed to keeping kids away from Gatorade. I mean, it's just pure sugar water and they're children.
in the history of the world.
It usually leads to one of 2 outcomes. The first, I can speak for myself, because as a kid, I cut out every food labelled as unclean by the fitness world, and ended up underweight and dealing with health issues from malnourishment. That's the danger of black and white thinking. It doesn't improve your diet, it just makes you feel guilty for eating. Ironically, I'd have been healthier if I'd have just eaten the chicken nugget. The second outcome? People stop taking the message seriously. When fear replaces science, decisions get worse. Just like how McDonald's warning people not to watch their documentary only made it more popular. People saw through the claims that McDonald's would make you impotent and depressed, because when a message pushes too far, people tune out.
Did you not see Supersize Me? Yeah, it just made me really want a Big Mac.
Similarly to the massively ineffective anti-drug campaigns in the 80s.
This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Some say Supersize Me oversimplified obesity, blaming fast food while downplaying personal responsibility. It missed a chance to teach real skills like calorie awareness, portion control, and basic food literacy.
But frankly, that would have made for a terrible documentary. Like, nobody would have watched it if it was a documentary about that. His point was to make a big, exaggerated claim about what fast food is and how bad it is for you, to get people talking about calories, lack of nutrition, and the negative impacts on the human body. And he did successfully accomplish all of those things, even if he didn't do it maybe with the nuance that the science nerds think he should have. I understand it's not perfect, but I'm also not opposed to the message of, hey, I ate fast food every day for 30 days, and it was absolutely horrible for me. That's like a good message. Nobody's going to say that you're going to come out better because you ate fast food for 30 days. You're going to come out worse in some aspect of your life.
What helped me improve my health was choosing to eat healthier, yes, but also incorporating more flexibility and making sure I actually enjoyed my diet. Realistic and sensible advice. That's why many health professionals argue this documentary has no place in schools. But schools didn't take this seriously until years later, when in 2017, Morgan Spurlock posted a confession that finally explained why his McDonald's experiment shocked his doctors so deeply. He admitted to struggling with alcoholism, revealing he hadn't been sober more than a week in 30 years.
This is like the biggest bombshell ever. Like, yeah, I was eating bad fast food, but also I was poisoning myself every day for 30 days. Didn't he say that he got his water from McDonald's so as not to take the experiment? And then we find out that he's just chugging alcohol in the background.
This wasn't mentioned in the documentary, not once, and yet it could explain a lot. The liver damage that shocked his doctors, the mood swings, the fatigue, even the issues downstairs. As one commenter said, it was really brave of him to prove to us that eating 6 years of McDonald's while being an alcoholic was detrimental to your health. That big, deliberate omission matters. If this was a YouTube video framed as entertainment, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. But it wasn't. It was presented as science, it was shown in classrooms, and it helped create a generation of black and white thinking around food, where meals were either clean or toxic.
Supersize Me was an Oscar-nominated, entertaining film that started global conversations about fast food, health, and corporate power. Spurlock was an entertaining storyteller who left a lasting impact, but by prioritizing shock over substance and deliberately leaving out crucial details, the film crossed the line from documentary to distortion. I've made videos where I've slipped up too, which is why reflection matters, because Supersize Me didn't just expose the fast food industry, it exposed how easily documentaries can lie.
I think it's fair to criticize the way the documentary was presented, even if the core argument of it, or at least one of the core arguments of it, fast food is bad and people don't realize what they're putting in their bodies, is actually true. Nobody asked, but my general not nutritionist advice is the only thing I track is protein, and then I don't track anything else because I make almost all of my meals at home. If I'm eating stuff that I cooked with whole ingredients and making sure I get enough protein to sustain the weightlifting that I do, then that's it. I'm happy. And every time I go to the doctor, once every 5 years or so, they do all my blood tests and they come out good. I'm doing fine. But that was Supersize Me, How Documentaries Lie by Josh Brett. Thanks for watching.